Hello everyone and a warm welcome to Robin's TV Extra Time as we look back on Watford 1, Bristol City 1 in the company of former City players Leroy Rossignol and Joe Burnell. Well, as Gerhard Struber said, our togetherness was on a great level considering the momentum that Watford had at home. 4 wins in a row at Vicarage Road. Bristol City coming into this game after back-to-back defeats but showed lots of spirit, character, personality. Let's see if the stats bear out that personality that we saw tonight. It was impressive, wasn't it?
It needed to be. You know, we were on the back of two losses, going against the side which you rightly said were in good form, particularly at home. I think it was an abundance today, and it needed to be.
It certainly did. I'm looking at those stats, and the one that jumps out is 16 to 26 shots on both sides, but 10 shots on target for Watford, 4 for City. Vitek was busy, but the saves he had to make, there were saves that I expected him to make. I'm surprised by the Jules one. I thought City did all right. I thought they really did stand up to Watford. And so the expected goals, 1.39. Yeah, I thought some of his chances were excellent. They certainly hit the target and made their keeper make saves as well. So, although it looks like Watford dominated the game, City were always in the game, and towards the end of the game, they could easily have gone and won it themselves.
It's been well documented about Bristol City's injury issues at the moment, which got worse over the course of the last 7 days. So, it was always going to be interesting what team and what formation Gerhard Struber opted for. What did you make of it?
Well, I think the manager deserves a lot of credit because prior to the game we were really lost in terms of knowing what the formation would be.
We're lost every week, Jack.
That's very true.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly today we were sort of discussing and trying to work out what formation, which players would play where. So I think firstly a lot of credit to the manager for getting that right, the formation and the players. And also there's some players who put in some big performances today which I didn't necessarily expect before the game.
Yeah.
I mean, one stands out to me is Twine, you know, slotted back into midfield. I just didn't see it. Seeing him playing a more advanced role as you'd expect, but I thought he was excellent today. And the stats before, interceptions, I'm pretty sure maybe 4 of those would have been him, which I certainly wouldn't have expected him to be doing, but he golded the ball a hell of a lot today.
He certainly did. I mean, Joe and I were having a conversation before about players coming in having not been used over a long period of time. Hayden Roberts was one of them. He got a lot of stick on Saturday for the goal, and maybe deservedly so. But when you don't play and then you're thrown in, it's really hard to get up to tempo. I'm not making excuses, but professional players want to be kind of introduced gradually in pre-season. Don't just go and do 90 minutes. You gradually introduce. These players are sat on the bench, and then with 14 games in, go and play. And it's a little bit unfair, but I thought his reaction was excellent. Lots of people eyebrows raised with Mayuli because when he's come on before, he hasn't been able to get to the tempo. He's been able to hold the ball up, but he worked really hard. There was one point he was back defending, with Ross McCrory in the right wing area. He was working really hard. Yeah, he wasn't perfect, but he put in a good shift and he came off physically tired. But he hasn't played for such a long time, and just felt, that's why there was trepidation in the team that was being played, because you think he's not picked these players before, and now all of a sudden he's thrown them in. So from that in that context, they did really well.
Yeah. We'll come to the good work of the front too in a bit, but it was a very bright start. Scott Twine, you already mentioned him. We'll see his free kick shortly, another trademark hit, but within the opening seconds, he went very close.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was. You'll see it on this clip here.
Running from deep, isn't he? Which obviously the formation, I guess, gave him a bit of licence to. Yeah,
so what I liked about it particularly is when the ball eventually came across to him after burst through from Ameti, there was nothing else in his mind other than ball out of his feet and take a strike. I think it's 2 touch, 1 out of his feet, and he does go relatively close there. Yeah. And actually on target, I think he's got the beating of the keeper. And that was a really, opening exchanges where I thought we're in the mood tonight. We started relatively well. And that was my fear, what you said earlier, personality and attitude. And, that was there tonight.
Unfortunately, though, that good feeling lasted about 5 minutes, Leroy, when caught out by a long ball, unfortunately.
And do you know what? Before the goal, I was a little bit concerned because this was what's happening. They were passing the ball around and just keeping the ball and going from side to side. And the 5 at the back were marking 4, and the 3 were just going from side to side. and they were just passing it. They were comfortable. They're not really under any pressure. They just back again, and the two wide players were just sprung out. And if you just stop it here, I'm just going to put just highlight the 3 midfield players there. What are they actually doing? You know, what they're actually doing, you know, they're actually marking no one. And what we've had before is a player in this area. And when that player's been in this area, and I'm just going to put a dot where the ball might be. So I'm going to put it down in it's not staying there. But if I just get a little squiggle in that area where the ball might be, when you can get 3 going to press in those areas, and when you just have the 2 in midfield, then that doesn't happen. This doesn't happen with Loser getting the ball and being able to get his head up, because they've been pressed. People are getting down the line, getting down. Just going to take that all off. Getting down the line to him and putting pressure when you've got 3 players at the top end of the pitch. But because you had the 3 in midfield doing absolutely nothing, look at the 3 of them marking no one, all just watching the ball, and it causes a massive problem here in that area of the pitch. And if you play it on Bailey, and he gets his head up and he can just play that long ball, and it's just missed out the whole team, and no one's actually doing anything. And that press for Gerhardt's been really important to how City defend. And if you just pause it just before he kicks it, just here, this, you know, that's not defending, because who is he marking? There's no one there.
He'd initially pointed to George Tanner, hadn't he, Ross, to say, I'm looking out for the run of Max Lane.
So what I've found difficult in the past couple of games where we haven't performed particularly well is where we haven't gone with runners. And I'm not saying he should. Well, he should have gone with the runner there, because you can see that in front of Tanner there, he's occupied by the striker who's just dropping off. I think it's a striker there. So actually, McCrory should have gone with the runner there. He did give him a shout. You could see it, but it's neither Tanner gets there nor does McCrory. So he should have gone with the runner.
But Joe, look, let's have a look. So what have they got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players across the front line. Okay. Yep. So you know, so they're 5v5. So he's marking him. He's marking him. He's marking him. He's marking him. He should have him.
Yeah. No,
it's it's just basic. You know, so he's left them 4v5, Ross, there is no one. There is no one in this area. So what's he defending? And so he's got to take responsibility. He just can't pass it on, and he passed on responsibility and paid the price.
Also note as well, if you keep holding that graphic, the midfielders, like Leroy said there, all 3 are in a line. One should be dropping and screening the front man, which would then allow Tanner to drop off. So if he was to be passed on, the wide man runner, if you like, then he could have dealt with him. But
all 3 of them marking no one, just in space.
But having said all that, it's an easy game watching from the warm studio.
Absolutely.
Imran Losers,
absolutely. But
distribution
I think the players would be really disappointed with that as well, because it looked too easy. It's too easy. It's basic defence. Look, it's a wonderful touch and finish. Yeah. But after 6 minutes, it was a real hammer blow.
It was a moment of lack of concentration, I believe. You know, we were comfortable. They were, not engaging, not pressing strong enough. But you shouldn't be done when there's no pressure on the ball. You shouldn't be done with a long ball.
No.
So, and as Leroy rightly said, they'll be disappointed with that.
The worry at that point, obviously, was confidence might have been a little bit fragile. Imran Loser was a presence in the game, and he's been in great form for them. City needed Radek Vitek again to pull off a great save in this first half. I mean, we'll see some of his in the second half as well, but how impressive was this in terms of just his positioning, his footwork, his presence?
I thought this was actually the best save of all the saves that he made. Didn't look it at first, Joe, but I thought the reaction to the deflection was outstanding.
Well, if you watch it slowly as it comes through here, it just gets a nick off their striker, that little toe there, and it basically changes the trajectory, the cut. Yeah. Just there, off the toe, and he just manages to, I'm not sure if it's his right arm or his right side of his body, but it's a fantastic save. He's already committed to the initial strike, and then as he reflects to the deflection, it was kept us in the game.
Yeah.
How key was Sinclair Armstrong in this next passage of play, in these next minutes, in terms of just getting City up the field, occupying their defence, making runs, causing issues with his pace. Mayulu was sort of occupying central areas, allowing him to run down the channels and, commit defenders. And he wins the free kick that leads to Scott Twine converting beautifully, doesn't it?
Well, he did it a couple of times before he won the free kick, and I'm just going to, as we get goes into this area here, just going to pause it here. This position is really important for Sinclair. Every time I see him play with someone else up front, Joe, he just think, okay, all I need to do is run it. I don't have to overcomplicate. I'm thinking about, I've got to come short. Just run in behind. And I think that just Mayuli just being on the pitch, occupying defenders, being a physical presence. You think Sinclair's a physical presence, but he plays more like a little man, Joe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. In terms of when he sort of comes to feet and he threatens him behind, but Fally there did lead the line, I thought, relatively well today in terms of the fact that he was receiving the ball to feet, which was then allowing the set back. And then Sinclair's run, which got in the channel, as Leroy said, maybe 2, 3, 4 times. It got some really good areas.
And this was just outstanding. Scott Twine, we every time he gets a free kick, we expect him to at least hit the target. But he does the keeper. The keeper just thinks, I think the keeper thinks he's going to cross it, doesn't he?
Well, how he gets it up and down so quickly is incredible. And a keeper sort of gets hands on it. It's near post. I mean, is it the cliche, should never be beaten near post, they say, but I mean, it's...
Has he done him with the eyes a little bit there? Because you look at how Twine was setting that up and it looked like he was shaping to cross. Maybe the keeper's just made a tiny half step towards his left-hand side and then can't make up the ground.
So accurate. I think he's done with the eyes, he's done with the technique, and it was a brilliant moment. And you could see from that moment on, I thought City regained a lot of their confidence with and without the ball.
We'd sort of come back into the game at that point, I thought, and it was sort of... a reward for a great character, because it would have been so easy away from home, going 1-0 down, particularly with the sort of previous 2 games, but such good resolve, I say, just to come back, and that was really pleasing, I'd say.
Yeah.
That's 8 goal involvements in 15 games this season for Scott Twine, continuing to impress. Took us into half-time at 1 apiece. We expected a sort of second wave from Watford, but actually Bristol City probably had the more clear-cut opportunities. We're going to look through them now. Yeah,
because I thought Watford at home would get on the front foot, but every time City got forward, they showed real quality and real purpose. They passed forward, they moved forward, a good run again from Fally to clear the space, and Anis just lets the ball run across his body. Lovely technique. And he's really unlucky. I don't think he can do any more.
No. I think the keeper, that's a fantastic save. I think possibly injured himself because he went off later on in the half. And I can't remember him straight to chest, but he's at full stretch there. And again, it was good. And I agree with Leroy. When we attacked, they looked really shaky at the back.
Yeah.
And I could just see us growing and growing. That was a fantastic save.
It was a good fun watch, wasn't it? Because you could see why Watford have only kept 1 clean sheet this season. They're bright, fast, direct, going forward. City had threats on the counter, and Selvic's made a good save there, but it was anyone's game at this point.
It was end to end at moments. It was counter attack after counter attack for both sides, and that obviously makes for an exciting watch.
Yeah.
But given that they showed how good they were going forward. We equally, and particularly going back to it, the different shape, and it was nice to see 2 up top for me.
Yeah.
And see the different formations play out and work so well.
Sinclair Armstrong had a 1v1, Leroy.
Yes.
Walk me through this one.
Well, he does everything right. First of all, again, he runs away, turns towards the ball, and then runs towards goal. And then it's just his first touch, just a little bit under his feet. If he just takes that slightly just away towards the D, he opens up the angle. But his movement is just perfect. Love the way he just turns, works his feet, and then bang towards the goal. And he knows Scott Twine can deliver that. I remember Scott Twine not delivering that early on in the season when he made a similar run. But this touch is just outside the foot, a better touch towards that far post, and then he's got the technique to pull it in. He's unlucky. I
was watching a thing the other day with Luke O'Nine, the Sunderland defender who started a sort of a coaching workshop, if you like, and he talked about the importance of getting the ball outside of your hips to allow him to not just play the ball kind of down the line, but also centrally, and then can whip a ball. And is that an instance of that, where if he'd just pushed it slightly wider, it changes the angle slightly, but it also allows him to have, three types of finish almost.
I don't know if Joe remembers, but when we used to coach and we used to do like passing drills, I'd say take the ball off its line,
Right.
take it off its line, because when the ball is coming this way, if you take it on the same line, defence will come and take it off you. But if you take it off its line, it puts people off balance. And he could have done the same with the goalkeeper. Because as the ball's coming down that line, he touches it and it's still on the same line going forward. If it's coming down that line, it just takes it off that line, just a foot or so, then the goalkeeper is really exposed, and then his technique is better. He can actually implement his technique. But I thought he was small. It's a really small detail that makes a big difference.
And he got a standing ovation, Sinclair Armstrong, when he went off in that second half, ran himself into the ground. It meant Leo Peacover came on, not 18, of course, until April. Only his second appearance, his first one away from home, so an important part of his progression. Came on with a note here for Emile Rees.
Yeah.
Which you didn't read. You said, I don't need that. I think it says score a goal, and then we went, to tear that up. I'm not having that. Cheek.
Start running.
Yeah, it's good to see though Leo come on and get on the ball. I think when he came on last night, he got a touch of the ball, but you can see he's built for professional football, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's very developed for a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And his home debut was he didn't touch a lot of the ball, but he certainly gave a good shift, and that's what was needed at the time. And he did similar today. He came on, had some good touches, worked very hard, and did the job, which was just to see out the final 10 minutes. And that's that's a big game. It's a tough place to go on as a 17-year-old. Is your second appearance, and he'll benefit from that tremendously.
I said to Joe, because when I was coaching, Joe was a young player, and you just got to let them go. But they weren't on the bench at the start of the season to let them go.
Yeah.
They were not involved. But now on the bench, and Gerhardt's giving them those 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they're massive. Honestly, massive to young players, just getting a taste of, in terms of the pace and the physicality of the game. So it's so important that they keep getting those opportunities.
I mean, we go back to the start of the show, and when we were discussing and trying to work out how they'd be playing and the injuries and the negativity. But the flip side of that is there's some young boys who are going to get opportunities, as they have done today. Until they cross that line, you never really know, as much as you might have hopes for them, until they react in those situations. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. And
you say it was a physical game. It was a high-intensity game.
High-intensity game, yeah. Good, powerful opposition.
But there's pressure because they're local boys. They're from the area. You know what it means. You're playing for your local side. The family are all there. The family go there when you're on the bench and you don't come on. How many times has that happened? How many times has that happened? But when you come on, it's a massive thing for these young lads, and it's a massive thing for supporters to see local lads get on the pitch. So, well done to Peacover and Thomas today.
We're going to see a collection of Ranit Vitek's saves in this second half. Was he your player of the match?
I think there's some big performances tonight, and it would be very difficult to sing someone out, but it would also be very difficult not to give him man of the match, given the amount of saves. I mean, you saw the stats earlier. Leroy said you'd hope he'd make all of these saves relatively comfortably, but he still made good decisions at the right time, and he's been a huge difference for us this year. So, to answer your question, he's probably man of the match.
Yeah, and do you know what? I heard Peter Schmeichel talking about Man United's goalkeeper, and he is a Man United goalkeeper, and they're talking about Lamins, and they said, what do you think of his performance? He said, well, judge him after he's made a mistake. And that's what I'm doing with Vitek. He's been superb. And then when he made that mistake at Stoke, I thought, let's see what you're made of. And boy, he's made some strong stuff. I thought, Twine was excellent. I thought Armstrong was excellent. But I thought his performance was exemplary. Really was. And I think this is the reason why. And we're not just talking about the saves, we're talking about where these saves ended up. Getting that up in the air, not falling in the 6-yard box. Everything was pushed away from the goal. Really good performance.
He elected to punch a few times as well. I saw this evening where I'd seen him save before, which actually I thought were good decisions, because as you said, he pushed them away in the right areas.
Yeah.
There was 2 keepers on the bench tonight, Leroy, showing how stretched the squad have been in this last week. You said this could be one of the most significant points of the season.
I think it is. I think it is the most significant point because it's comes at the most difficult period of City's season so far. With two defeats in 2 and the manner of those defeats, and it's how you bounce back. You know, and when look, we had poor periods, what we used to do, say, right, let's keep a clean sheet, even if it's 0-0. You know, let's get something. I don't care if it's ugly or boring. Let's get something. Let's keep a clean sheet. They've done it in a manner where they've gone there. They actually could have won it. It was open. It was attacking. It's the way Gerhard wants to play. The away fans would have really enjoyed that performance. You can see from their reaction as well. So it's restored a lot of confidence that had evaporated over the last 3 or 4 days. So yeah, it's a really good point.
Took us back to the levels I think they were working on maybe a month or so ago, where, you know, I'm talking not effort, but that, you know, that output. There's a lot of people playing significantly higher than what they had been previously the past couple of games.
Good stuff. Leroy, Joe, really enjoyed watching the game. Really enjoyed your analysis. Thanks for your time.
Enjoyed it.
And thanks for watching Robins TV Extra Time. International break, of course, now, before the visit of Swansea City to Ashton Gate on the 22nd of November. It's an early kick-off, but we'll be there covering the match. And of course, there'll be another episode of Robins TV Extra Time, which we hope you can join us for. Thanks for watching.